What's going on, Giants fans? Talking Giants fans. It's Bobby Skinner. We're going to start doing some instant reaction videos to grow the channel a little bit. Our main focus hasn't always been YouTube. It's been the podcast, and it'll stay that way. But we want to grow the YouTube. So we're going to do some instant reaction. Giants set their 53-man roster. And we'll start at the top with Ryan Connelly. We'll start with what I view as a negative, and then we'll ease into the rest of it. The Giants cut Ryan Connelly, who they drafted in 2019 in the 5th round, who started 3 out of the first 4 games of the season. Then he had a torn ACL. He came in, he had interceptions, he had a sack, he had tackles for losses. He was a playmaker, and he was someone I was extremely excited about. He showed speed and aggressiveness that we have not seen from a Giants linebacker in a long time, and his instincts were kind of outmatched. It was crazy that this guy fell. Really, the only thing you could look at was his play strength. When if on a head-to-head with an offensive lineman, the offensive lineman would usually win, but he still would fight through. But at the goal line, I remember Frank Gore ran him over in the Buffalo game because he's just not the strongest guy in the world. But I look for speed and instincts, and I felt like that's where the NFL is going. Speed, instincts, and aggressiveness, and that's what Ryan Connelly did. And the Giants move on from him. And it'd be one thing if, there wasn't any like other positions where there are positions of need. Like the Giants defensive tackle group right now, you have Dexter Lawrence, who's a first-round pick. Dalvin Tomlinson, who was arguably the defensive player of the year for the Giants defense in 2019. Leonard Williams, who have $16 million in a franchise tag wrapped up in. Those 3 guys are going to be used in a rotation, and they're 3 extremely important pieces. Then you add B.J. Hill, who we still like. He's 4th in the rotation. And they keep both R.J. McIntosh, who I like a lot, and I think R.J. McIntosh is as good as a 5th defensive tackle you'll find in the NFL. Every time the guy, on 10% of the snaps this year, he got 2 sacks, 2 tackles for a loss, 2 QB hits. Like every time he plays in, he gets production. And then Austin Johnson, who, was signed on a $1 million deal. So I thought that was going to be an either-or position, but they keep both. Why do we need to be 6 deep at that position? R.J. like the 5th guy's not going to get a lot of run, let alone the 6th guy. I mean, how much of a rotation do we want to run at that position? So that's what doesn't make sense to me. It's like, well, why are we moving on? Why are we moving on from Ryan Connelly? He showed us enough, and I understand he's coming from a torn ACL, and maybe he missed a week of practice earlier. Maybe he's looked slow, but we know who he is. Give him time. Give him time to grow. I mean, with some of these guys on this roster, we would have been fine keeping Ryan Connelly on and giving him a chance to grow. And we're just moving on that quickly. And I get that he may get to the practice squad. I really do hope he makes the practice squad. That's my hope. But there's no guarantee that's going to happen. I mean, there may be a team who looks at him the way that the Giants looked at him last year, where they started him in week 2. It wasn't like the Giants were quick to throw guys out there on defense last year. It took them forever to start Julian Love. DeAndre Baker, who was a first-round pick, didn't even start week 1. Dexter Lawrence snap count was low to start the season. So Daniel Jones didn't start till week 3. So it wasn't like they were just forcing rookies out there. If anything, they played it very conservatively with the rookies. So that's what frustrates me, is this guy who showed a lot of talent just gets completely given up on. And like I said, I get that he can go on the practice squad, and they're probably hoping for that. Or maybe they put him on the team after they put David Mayo on IR tomorrow. But you're taking a chance when you cut him that a team will come up and snag him up. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope he gets on this team, and this day of outrage can be looked at funny. But I'm not an outrage guy, but this bothers me. I haven't been this bothered by a move since they just cut Janoris Jenkins for nothing. I'm not a fan of that. So that's where I stand at the linebacker spot. Let's move on to some other things. I guess we'll go position by position. QB, they only keep 2. They cut the GOAT, Alex Tanney, 100% completion percentage. What more can you ask from him? Seriously, though, they cut Tanney and Cooper Rush. I'm a big fan of keeping 2 quarterbacks, especially when you have your established starter in Jones. You have McCoy, who you spent some money on to be a backup. To me, there's really no reason to keep 3. Cooper Rush probably will come back on the practice squad, so he will still be a part of the day in and day out. So you have 3 guys in the room. But to use a roster spot on 3, that was something I was bothered by with Shermer last year. It didn't make sense to do that. Running back, really no substantial takes. I mean, it's what you thought. Saquon, Dion Lewis, and Wayne Gallman are the 3 tailbacks, and Elijah Payne the fullback. You'd expect that there. Tight end, Levine Toilolo, Evan Ingram, and Caden Smith. You expect that. Wide receivers a little interesting. Obviously, the top 3 are there. Shep, Slayton, and Tate. Corey Coleman is number 4, as we all expected, But then we only keep 5, which is surprising. And then CJ Board is the 5th, who played with the Jags a little bit last season. So that was kind of surprising. I know we all kind of had our favorite undrafted free agent, even though, David Sills got his foot broke, so he went to IR, who was kind of my guy. But we all kind of had our favorite from Austin Mack, Benjamin Victor, Derek Dillon, and then Alex Bachman had an impressive camp, so a lot of people were high on him, including myself. I thought he'd make the roster. But that spot is where I don't think any of those guys really had a clear head and shoulders going in the camp. So they thought CJ Board was the best man. I'm fine with that at that positions. I do think that they're going to go out and get a wide receiver, because only having 5 is kind of surprising to me. So I think they might go out there. Maybe it's a Hakeem Butler, the 4th round pick of the 2019 that the Cardinals drafted, 6'5" out of Iowa State. So maybe that's someone they're going to go after. Wide receiver is a position that you get good players that get cut pretty much every year. So we'll see what they do with that. Offensive line. Surprised a little bit that Pulley was kept over Halapio. I thought when Halapio was signed that they were going to cut the $2.75 million that's owed to Pulley and give that to, let that be kind of a lesser blow from the Logan Ryan contract. But I think Joe Judge told Dave Gettleman he thought Spencer Pulley was the best man for that spot and said, hey, I want the best man to play. So they did that. Defensive tackle, I talked about that. Outside linebacker, they kept 6. They kept Carter Coughlin and Cam Brown, along with Marcus Golden, Lorenzo Carter, Zimenez, and Fackrell. Those 4 were expected. I think those 2 were kept because they don't want anyone else to claim them, and I understand that. I don't think either of those 2 are going to make a huge impact, at least not to start the first half of the season. But you don't want a team that believes in the potential of Cam Brown to come up and swoop him up, or Carter Coughlin, who I think is more ready now than Cam Brown is. Inside linebacker, I talked about with Ryan Connelly. What I do like is that Tay Crowder made this team. This Mr. Irrelevant out of Georgia. That guy flies around the field. He's raw. Those are the kind of types of guys I like inside linebacker. A lot of the reasons why I like Connelly are the reasons why I like Crowder. TJ Brunson, the South Carolina linebacker, making it. That frustrates me. Go watch his college tape. There's nothing to excite you. And I feel like at the college level, you have to excite me to make me believe in you at the NFL level. Blake Martinez, Devontae Downs, and David Mayo, who may be going to the IR, fill out that spot. Corner, what we expected. James Bradbury, Corey Ballantyne, Darnay Holmes, and then Logan Ryan, and then Isaac Yiadom, who had a 7th round pick traded for him the other day. Expected there at corner. Safety, Peppers and Love, obviously those guys are probably going to start. McKinney, who will go to the IR. And then Sean Chandler continues to stick around for this team. He is there. And then Nate Ebner, who's a special teamer, ends up there. So all in all, I'm very bothered by the Connelly stuff. You guys know I'm not an outrage guy, but I am bothered by the Connelly stuff. Hope he ends up back on this roster one way or the other. I really do, because I believe in his talent, and that's why it bothers me. Not because it's, they did something I disagree with. So I truly believe in his talent to be an awesome inside linebacker in this league, and we may have just given that away to another team. So we appreciate you guys. We'll have a regular full episode out on 2, breaking this down, me and Justin. Until then, let's go Big Blue.